Welcome to Sartori Studios, where innovation meets creativity.
All right, today we're jumping headfirst into the architectural vision from Michael Sartori's book, Tents Before Temples. And let me tell you, it's a pretty radical and thought-provoking look at what our buildings could be, and maybe what they really should be.
So right out of the gate, the book hits you with this whopper of a claim. It's designed to just stop you in your tracks, you know? Because for centuries, we've all thought of the cathedral as the absolute peak of architecture and spirituality. But Sartori says, hold on, maybe we've been looking at this all wrong.
So why the castle? Why put castles over cathedrals? Well, the argument is that the castle is a more complete picture of the cosmos. It's a true world in miniature.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Think about it. A cathedral draws this really sharp line. You've got the sacred world inside and the regular secular world outside. But a castle holds both. It has a chapel right there inside its walls, and that chapel makes the entire structure sacred. It kind of blurs that line completely. So you see, the castle is this amazing fractal of nested spaces. It's a place of work. You've got craftsmen and soldiers living right there together. It's a place of life, a place that welcomes strangers and protects the vulnerable. And you know, when things get bad, those walls turn it into an ark of stone, literally protecting the seeds of the next generation. It's a whole world.
Okay, to really get where this vision is coming from, we have to dig into its roots, which are found in the work of the legendary architect Christopher Alexander and his idea of the timeless way of building. It's all about an architecture with a soul.
Alexander's big idea is something he called a pattern language. Think of it like a shared vocabulary, a toolkit of design solutions for problems we all face. It's not a book of rigid rules. No, it's a flexible language that empowers regular people, not just fancy architects, to actually shape their own world in a way that feels, well, alive.
And this just shows you the beautiful, fractal nature of his whole idea. It scales all the way from huge concepts like independent regions, we're talking entire self-governing cultures, down to something as simple as a 6-foot balcony. And why that? Because his insight was that a balcony less than 6 feet deep almost never gets used. It proves that even the smallest, most human-scale details are what make a space actually work.
And this right here, this is the heart of it all. For Alexander, real architecture isn't about some famous architect creating a monumental image or a calculated pose. It's about selflessness. A living building is innocent, it's carefree, it's not built to impress anyone. It's built to honestly serve the life that happens inside it.
All right, so we've got these big kind of philosophical ideas. But how do they actually play out in the real world? Well, let's talk about something we all know, modern housing, and what it's doing to the family. It's about breaking the cycle.
Here's the kicker, the central problem for so many of us today. Our homes have become financial assets first and places for shelter and family second. The whole system is built on profit, always going up, which, well, as we're about to see, creates a pretty tragic cycle.
So the book gives us this perfect, if a little sad, story of Bob and Donna. They start out in a little house, and every time they sell, they use the money to buy a bigger and bigger one. They just keep climbing that property ladder until suddenly they're empty nesters rattling around in a giant mansion they don't even use, which ends, believe it or not, with the rather unfortunate margarita incident by their brand new pool.
And what's the end result of this whole crazy cycle? Bob and Donna actually end up buying their original starter home, just to demolish it and build a luxury house there instead. The very homes where new families are supposed to get their start are just being erased, making it almost impossible for the next generation to begin their own journey.
But it doesn't have to be this way, right? Alexander's pattern language actually gives us some incredible alternatives, like the house for a small family, which is designed with totally separate realms for adults and children, so everyone gets their own space. Or the idea of voluntary extended families, where you balance small private homes with big shared common areas to build a real community.
So, if we can totally rethink the family home, what about our sacred spaces? Let's pivot back to spiritual architecture. What happens when we apply these same principles, honesty, life, to building a church? Well, you get a whole new concept.
It's called the tectonic temple, and the idea is that this is a sacred space where the beauty comes from honestly revealing how it was built, not from hiding it. It's a building that celebrates the work of the plumber, the electrician, and the carpenter just as much as it does the priest.
So in this vision, the building's guts are on display. You literally see the framing, the wiring, the plumbing, maybe behind clear panels.
Its design would be anthropomorphic, mimicking a human body with its own circulatory and nervous systems. It would be a temple with absolutely no secrets, just the plain truth of how it was made, who made it, and who it's for.
And this really brings us back to the title of the book, doesn't it? The point is to build truly great things, whether that's a massive cathedral or a strong community, we have to start small. We have to start with the tent, that foundational unit of the family, and build up from there.
Which brings us to the most speculative and, frankly, the most awe-inspiring part of this whole vision. What if we could take this idea of living architecture and push it to its most literal conclusion, an organic future?
No, seriously, just take a second and actually imagine this. We are not talking about a smart home with a bunch of gadgets. We're talking about a truly biological home, a living organism engineered from the ground up to be a place to live.
This wouldn't just be a shell. This house would have its own metabolism. Imagine a circulatory system that regulates the temperature and deals with waste, totally off-grid. A respiratory system that purifies the air you breathe. It could even heal itself when it gets damaged, just like living tissue.
And here it is, the ultimate vision, the final synthesis of all these ideas. What if architectural plans could be encoded directly into DNA? A generation could design an entire village for their children, not with blueprints, but by planting seeds. Seeds that would grow over decades into a community of living, organic homes.
In the end, this whole exploration comes down to a fundamental truth. The things we build, our homes, our churches, our cities, they're a mirror. They reflect what we truly value. So the real question for all of us is, when we look around at the world we've built, what does it say about us?